Please help me welcome to the stage, Theo.
To set the background for this TED Talk, I'd like to take you back to my childhood. Growing up in the early 2000s, it felt as though everything popular was black. I'll just point to the window from 2003 to 2004 for reference. The #1 video game in the year 2004 was Madden 2004, aptly named. Michael Vick was on the cover. I remember playing the PlayStation 2 with my dad, and that man could not be tackled whatsoever. Michael Vick is widely considered the highest rated and most unstoppable video game character of all time. In that same window, NBA Street and NFL Street were released, which merged both hip-hop, street ball, and sports culture all into the same game, and the real ones know how fun those were to play. The music, the week of my birth, 2003, the top 5 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 chart either featured or had a black artist in it. The #1 song and #1 performing album that year were both owned by 50 Cent. The #1 show Friday nights on MTV was In My Ride. In my area, I saw a bunch of Hummer H2s and Cadillac Escalades, all with spinning rims, tricked out suspensions, and bass so loud it will shake your house. As depicted there was everyone's favorite basketball player, Allen Iverson, sporting the fashion of the time, fitted cap, double XL t-shirt, baggy pants, and a chain, probably 2 chains. It got so bad to the point that players were wearing this out attire in their post-game press conferences that then NBA Commissioner David Stern imposed a dress code for all of the players. #1 golf athlete, and yes, I did say golf at the time, was also black, being Tiger Woods. To segue, growing up, my parents were very, very specific on how I was going to act, how I was going to conduct myself in certain situations. Always yes, sir, always no, sir. Always yes, ma'am, always no, ma'am. My 2 favorite books at the time were the dictionary and the thesaurus. I would get in trouble for saying yo. It was that bad. Growing up in Baltimore County, it felt as though I didn't belong. That in my area, there were so many outside influences that I really didn't know where to find myself. I would like to label that as being deemed black and being deemed white for the majority of my life. For those who don't know, Baltimore County and Baltimore City feel like 2 entirely different states. Baltimore County being 62.1% white, while being 28.8% black, and Baltimore City being 63% black. Growing up in my predominantly black church and my mostly black social events, I'd be talking about whatever a excited 6 to 7-year-old will be talking about. Now I receive the comment, Theo, you talk white. What? That doesn't make any sense. I talk properly. But you know, at the time, I laughed it off because I didn't engage in much race-related critical thinking at the time. I thought they were just messing with me. From the age of 9 on, I attended a predominantly white institution, or PWI for short. And in the 3rd grade, I transferred to a school in Carroll County, Maryland. The difference there was even more stark, Carroll County being 92.5% white and 3.2% black. So on transferring to this school, I was thinking, well, if they're white and I talk white, I'll fit right in. Spoiler alert, I didn't. Not 1 week into my 3rd grade experience, I received the comment, Theo, you talk white, from my Caucasian classmates. And now I was lost. If I talk white and you're white, what's the problem? I thought I'd fit right in. This would only compound as more schools would close in the area and more minorities would flood into the schools that I attended. I thought I'd feel even more included as more African Americans that I knew would attend the school. Spoiler alert, I was also wrong there. Around the time everyone's favorite song came out, Crank That by Soulja Boy, I was having a great time Supermaning all over the place. And I received the comment, "Theo, why are you enjoying that song so much? I act blacker than you," from one of my Caucasian classmates. Now that didn't make no sense in my head. I'm dancing. What's the problem? This would only be compounded by my African American and Asian American classmates who said, "Yes, Theo, you do act white." Now where am I? If I look black, but I talk white and act white, then what am I? Here's a very relatable statement for all of you. If all of your classmates and all your peers say one thing about you, but the only people who disagree are your parents, are you really going to listen to your parents? To combat the famous statement, too black for the white kids, too white for the black kids, no, my fellow friends and listeners, I was too white for both. It was a hard time. Fast forward to the spring of 2015. Baltimore police arrest Freddie Gray, who suffers spinal injuries while in transport, falls into a coma, and later dies from said injuries. Riots ensue in Baltimore City as conflict between civilians and police officers rise. News stations and social media users from all over flood to the scene, waiting to comment and provide their input on the situation, calling African Americans in the area, quote, belligerent, dangerous, and rabid, among many other things. Me, I was in school, minding my business, participating in no damage that took place in the riots over that time. However, I ended up on the opposite side of the label that I found myself in for most of my educational career. There was word that African Americans from Baltimore County were flooding into the city to participate in the riots. So thus I was being looped into the narrative. A sweeping generalization flew over all African Americans in the area, regardless of where they were from. If they were in Maryland and close to Baltimore, they were dangerous. They were belligerent. They were rabid. This came at a very dangerous time in my life, in that I was applying for jobs, moving to college, and I was afraid that I have to change my entire social profile to fit the narrative that I was not violent, that I was not dangerous. Because at the time, if I said I was from Baltimore, I would get the question, did you participate in the riots? Are the riots still happening? What did you have to do with those riots? I was taking AP Bio, thank you for asking. It was a rough time walking outside, seeing people look at me, and whether I was wearing a do-rag to get my waves right, or a hoodie, and people avoid me on the street. Because people at the time were less afraid of me when I wore a suit than when I wore a hoodie, even though I was the same person the entire time. Stereotypes are dangerous. Stereotypes can carry someone's particular view of another race or nationality in spite of someone's behavior being directly contrary to that. A quote, stereotypes can be easy to fall into, however, as they can be the safest assumption on how to conduct your behavior around new demographics. This is why diversity and inclusion are important, as they can open discussion between different races and illuminate areas of previous confusion and reduce ignorance in regards to other ethnicities. Moving into my collegiate experience, I determined that my professionalism was going to be held independent of my demographics. How I carried myself was not going to make me any more or any less black, but any more or any less professional. But stereotypes will blend character and ethnicity into the same narrative, so that every time I would reach an interview, I would get the question, so how did you find yourself here? From my classmates, I would receive the comment, Theo, you're much smarter than you look. As if my intelligence is completely correlated to how dark I am. It's a shame that they failed Math 101 and I didn't. I made a conscious effort to let my success determine how I was defined. I was still gonna be black. I'm still gonna be from Baltimore County. I'll still be profiled in stores and followed as if I was going to steal something. I'll still be less scary in a suit, but all the same, you cannot change my hard work to be negative. Taking this all in perspective, talking about this in a TED Talk is something that many people have not heard this perspective before. But that's why the title is Finding Success as a Minority Without Losing Your Ethnicity, because your success can be held independent of how you look, how you are carried, and how you act. Your success is yours to be determined, not for anyone to take away from you. In defining my success, 3 steps that placed me in the best position for growth were to plan excitedly, to network feverishly, and to work intelligently. The first step in planning excitedly. Your dreams are only bound by your own imagination. Set your goals far beyond the horizons of your beliefs, but set reasonable objectives on how to obtain those goals. At 16 years old, I determined what dream company I wanted to work for upon undergraduate graduation. The first step to securing that position was to research, to see if the company mantra aligned with my views and to see if they had a position and department that fit well within my interests. And I did just that. The next step was to choose an institution or university that would place me in the best position to achieve that position, to achieve my goals and define success in my own way. Immersing myself within the company and within my goals allowed me to maneuver each and every step of my way as it came to me, because I did the steps much before they arrived in front of me. The only problem that I had, I was in Philadelphia, but I didn't know a single person. That's why step 2 was to network feverishly. Attending the school in Philadelphia was the first for me. This was the first time that I attended a school in which I did not know anyone here, not at the university, not in my school, and also not in the city whatsoever. The joke is that all people from a particular demographic know each other, so I decided to act like it. Social media has allowed me to place myself in the best positions for growth as I changed my timelines from basketball highlights to networking events, anywhere from resume workshops to community dinners, because everyone likes free food. For reference, if Facebook were a country, it would be the most populated country in the world. Facebook has more monthly users than the continent of Africa has people. That was for you, Andrew. Yes, there are people out there that will help you. And yes, you do have time to send that email. Make the use of this technology that we have today. I determined that aligning myself with like-minded individuals who are as passionate about my success as I was for theirs would put me in the best position to be the best student I could be, the best professional I could be, and the best version of myself. Including myself in a group that specializes in building relationships and diverse group experiences allowed me to reach where I am today, to get into those networking events. That group placed me in the office of that company 2 weeks into my undergraduate career. I was ready, but it was about having an active network all the same. Be both a mentor and a mentee to those around you. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that you can learn from anyone at any time. People have had different experiences from different nations, from different perspectives, from different times of struggle. You can learn at all times. Never discredit someone's takeaways. Never discredit someone's experiences, because you can learn from them as much as they can learn from you. But after I planned excitedly, and after I networked feverishly, it was time for me to work intelligently. I've gotten to where I want to be in life. The rest is all on me. The notion for minorities that you must work 2 times as hard to get half as far as everyone else. This is true, but you must work in the right way. You don't want to start studying for an exam, pull an all-nighter, and have read the wrong chapters the entire time. Set yourself a strong foundation. Make sure that you're prepared in every aspect of the way. You don't want to get that recruiter's business card, send out a very beautiful email, get the response, ask for a resume at the end of the day, and you do not have a resume. Be prepared at all times. But this wasn't just me working, this was also me making sacrifices. So I knew if I was going to be in the position that I needed to be, I needed to be as competitive as possible. I had to be more diligent and more determined than the average freshman. Because I knew that even though I aligned myself with very strong, very talented individuals, they were also my direct competition. My friends berate me at times that I overworked myself. That may be true, but I know that there's someone out there who was dealt an easier set of circumstances than I was, who was given an easier access to where they want to be in life. So I have to outwork them, because I don't have a choice. My success is mine, and I'm sorry, but I had to stiff arm to get here. So once you do all three, what happens? After you plan excitedly, after you network feverishly, after you work intelligently, you reach yourself at a position I like to call the POMO, the position of maximum opportunity. It was cute, right? Once you find yourself here, this is when you can start putting it in cruise control. You know who you need to know. You planned out exactly where you want to be. You put in all the work necessary. It's time to seize your victory. However, if you're not in the POMO at all times, or you do not know how to get here, you're cheating yourself out of your own success. Find where this needs to be. This doesn't have to be strictly professionally, academically, athletically, romantically, however you want it to be. Get yourself here, because that's how you'll succeed. After I did all these, what were the results? I landed an internship at my dream company at 19 years old, because I worked twice as hard. Financed my own car at 20 years old. I worked twice as hard. I'm giving a TED Talk. And that's not an accident. I've been thinking about this for about 4 or 5 years now. Granted, I thought it'd be something a little more academic, like taxes or something, but talking about myself's a little bit easier. Why am I giving this TED Talk? Because there needs to be a discussion on race relations within the United States that was much more day-to-day than the use of racial slurs, epithets, and racist imagery. Because minorities achieve success in so many different ways than the young graduates, than the developers and the Ivy League acceptances, because although those are all great, we all achieve success in different ways, and those should all be praised all the same. Because even though when I was younger I didn't know who I was going to be, what I was, what I identified as, once I started racking up my accomplishments, no one's bothered me about that since. No one's ever said, since I began my journey in college, Theo, you talk white. No, Theo, you are successful. Theo, we're proud of you. And that's great, but I'm not done yet. In closing, to my friends and listeners, if you find your own success, in whatever avenue it may be, please do yourselves a favor to you and those around you. Reach out, network vertically and horizontally, never stop dreaming, and lift each other up as you climb. Thank you.